What's up, guys? So today we finally get our first look at Erenor crafting and the changes to the regrade system for Archeage 3.5 for North America and EU regions. Triumph Worlds released a spotlight article giving us almost all the information that we need on these new systems. So let's dive in, and also note that there is going to be a live stream today later on for Archeage at 1:30 Pacific Standard Time, and they'll be going over these systems as well. So first up, crafting changes. There's dramatic shifts in the crafting changes. They are getting rid of several tiers of items. So the craftsman, the artisan, the conqueror tiers are all being removed from the game. Then they are now making all items cloaked, not sealed, which this means that every item can essentially go up to the next tier. They're getting rid of those 7 different types that you can get, and now just allowing you to pick whatever one you want. So they're still there. So there's still the wave, the flame, the sunset, etc. All those different tiers of weapons and armors are still there, but now you open up your item and you get to choose which one you actually want. Then you can reseal it and then upgrade it when you are ready to upgrade to the next tier of weapons. The other big change is that now, in order to upgrade further, you have to have a specific regrade level on each weapon or armor. So the Artificer's rank needs a Grand regrade or higher. For the Epherium rank, you need a Heroic grade or higher. For the Delphinid rank, you need Unique grade or higher. For Ionid rank, you need Celestial grade or higher. And to get up to the brand new Erenor rank, you need a Divine Ionid weapon or armor. So pretty standard there. A lot of people knew about this system coming in. For those that didn't, this is good. I mean, it's going to cost essentially a little bit less with all things considered, because now you can just straight craft straight up all the way from the basic, level 20 gear to Erenor gear if you have enough money and materials and labor. You do have to do some regrading along the way to make your weapons upgradable, but they're making regrading a lot easier in this patch as well. They are also now changing the success rates and then telling us the exact percentage points of regrading. So, dungeon items or quest items, these are the regrade tables for basic values with no charms used. For basic crafted equipment, all equipment not in other categories as well, these are the regrade chances. So they're pretty nice, especially the Celestial here at 30% base chance, and then 50% downgrade chance, 50% destruction chance when failed. When you add a charm to this, when you add a red regrade charm, you're going to bump this up to 60% success chance now. That's a pretty big success chance. And when you now look at the system as a whole, you're not going to need to regrade crafted gear further than this tier. You only need Divine Ionid weapon and armor to make it an Erenor. And then after the Erenor becomes created, you no longer regrade it at this system, this way. You don't use regrade scrolls, you don't use charms and things like that. So the stuff down here literally does not matter. And it's all about the Celestial. And this is a pretty significant increase from where we're at currently, I believe. So they didn't specifically give us the hard numbers on the regrading before. There was a lot of data mine information and such like that. And I believe this is a lot higher than what it was. So last up, Obsidian items now have a different regrading percentage. And this one looks a little bit more like what we currently have. Although I do think it is slightly better than what we currently have, especially the higher tiers. So the Divine at 6.5 and the Epic at 5.2, those are pretty big. And then all things considered, when you are regrading at this higher of tier level, you're going to be using a red regrade charm, or on the old legacy servers, those silver regrade charms to make it even higher. The silver regrade charms gives you 2.5 times % chance, so that would bump up this 6.5 all the way up to a 15% if I'm doing this correct. No, 16.25. So, and then this one would be close to that 15% to get a legendary. So a 15% chance to take an epic up to legendary is pretty sweet and definitely a lot better than what we have currently. Legendary is still insanely small at 2%, and mythic is even tinier, 1.3%. But hey, YOLO, you only will live once, right? So, another big change is the ships and mount accessories are going to be able to use charms, and the regrading percentages are going to be told just like the crafted and weapons and armors. Mythic going up to the new Eternal grade at 8.8% does seem like a pretty good success rate, all things considered, because right now it apparently feels like Mythic, Legendary to Mythic, is around a 5 or 6% chance. So this is quite good, especially Legendary now at 17.5%. And again, you can use charms, so if you do want to use a superior red regrade charm, you can greatly increase the chance that your ship or mount accessory is going to go up, and this would come up to about 35% to make a Mythic. Pretty good odds there. So, there's one other thing that is changing, is that now Mana Wisps are no longer happening. Mana Wisps are being removed completely from the game, and these are the new conversion charts. So if you have Mana Wisps, like a lot of crafters do, now is the time to potentially sell a lot of these, or in some cases, to hold on and wait. So, for example, weapons, you're going to get 11 Sunlight Archeum Crystals. Weapons you definitely want to sell right now. Archeum Crystals are hovering anywhere between like 4 and 5 gold on the current auction house clusters, for at least for North America server right now, the fresh start. That means this would be only about 55 gold per Mana Wisp. Mana Wisps currently sell for about 100 gold on the auction house. So you're definitely losing a lot of value if you are a weapon Mana Wisp creator / seller. Definitely sell those before the patch. Same thing with the wooden Mana Wisps. The music Mana Wisps are a little bit interesting. I'm not sure how much music Mana Wisp sells, but they are going to now give you 11 Sunlight Archeum Crystals, and this could be a potential better change for you going forward in 3.5. The jewelry and small jewelry here, the large and small jewelry, is actually a pretty sweet change for those crafters, because now you're going to get 8 Starlight Archeum Crystals and 6 Starlight Archeum Crystals respectively there for the small version. These guys are currently selling right around 10 gold per crystal. Starlight Archeum is the most expensive Archeum in the game, and I do expect a pretty significant decrease in value for Starlight Archeum come 3.5. Because at these values, Starlight Archeum Mana Wisps here, the large and small jewelry, are worth a lot more in the new 3.5 system. So I expect people to start hoarding up these Mana Wisps and then converting them and then bringing the Archeum price down in 3.5. Last up, we have the crafting armor Mana Wisps, cloth, leather, and plate, and this is just disgusting here, guys. So they're giving us 2 Moonlight Archeum Crystals, a significant decrease in value for your Mana Wisps. Currently on the Fresh Start servers, the Mana Wisps are hovering between 20 and 30 gold, depending on which one it is. The Moonlight Archeum Crystals are only worth about 5 or 4 gold per Moonlight Archeum Crystal. So 20 to 30 gold currently right now for the Mana Wisps. And now in the future, in 2 weeks with this patch, it's only going to be worth around 10 gold. And with all these new Archeum Crystals flooding the system, I think these values are actually going to go down some. So this brings me to what I would invest in or not invest in this patch. I think regrade charms, especially red regrade charms, are going to be very, very important. For people that are not doing the Erenor path, the obsidian weapons and armors, you're going to want to regrade as high as possible, and it looks like it's getting a little bit better to regrade further up the chart here. So 6.5 for going to epic from divine is, I think, a very big improvement. Again, I don't have the full numbers on the old regrades. No one really has those at full concrete numbers on those, but we do have some basic information that may or may not be correct, and I believe this is a lot higher for getting an epic tier weapon. Of course, going up to legendary is definitely a lot higher there, 5.2%. These are base values, so when you add the red regrade charm on there, you're going to get a 10+% chance to get a legendary weapon on your obsidian. That's pretty damn high. Also, there are still the anchoring charms in the game, so anchoring charms now combined with the divines with the red regrade charms, those are going to be very sweet. So you're going to see a lot more epics in the game on Obsidian, and then there's a chance to proc up to the legendary when you're using those resplendent scrolls. So you've got a lot more people that are just going to be going Obsidian, 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 and going epic / legendary in Obsidian, because Erenor requires a lot of weapons and armor, a lot of money to craft up. So the last system that they touch upon in this is upgrading your Erenor. So you need a lot of stuff to upgrade your Ionod Divine weapon or armor to Erenor tier, and it's going to start over at the basic level. That's another thing I didn't touch on yet, is every time that you craft up, you're going to always go back down to the basic level. So you have to do some regrading in those tiers if you're crafting weapons and armors. For Erenor, you don't do regrading, but you actually have to feed these weapons and armors that correspond. So if you're upgrading an Erenor weapon, you need to feed it weapons. It does not matter if you're upgrading a bow. It does not matter. You can give it a staff. You can give it a short spear. You can give it a shield. You can give it any of the weapon types. And these are the experience levels needed to level up the Erenor weapon or armor. This is how much experience you get for giving crafted weapons and armors. So you can see the very basic one, you get 28 experience all the way up. If you feed it an Erenor weapon, you're going to get 4,000 experience. Generally, you're going to want to use the lower tier weapons or armors because it's going to be more cost efficient. So the auction house is going to be completely bare of these lower tier items. You could feed it obsidian items, but these don't give very much experience at all. You can see here 143 experience for tier 1, and tier 1s generally are more expensive than these crafted type gears. So a lot of the time people just don't even feed obsidian items at all. It's just not worthwhile. You're better off feeding crafted items. One of the other things you can do is you can feed it boss grade items or dungeon grade items. And the boss grade items have some great values on here. So specifically, Morpheus's Searing Oath offers 173 experience, which are quite cheap on the auction house, currently around 200 or so. Expect those prices to jump way up. Rangora's Cold Anguish, again, 173 experience points, and again, hovering right around that 200 to 500 gold value. And as these weapons and armors are higher tiers, so if they are like Celestial grade or unique grade, you're going to get more experience. This is the base value, or if you're just feeding a basic weapon and armor at that tier. Supposedly it is 10% increase of every grade that you go up. So if it is a rare grade, you're going to get an additional 10% EXP bonus on top of this. And if you're all the way up to like the Celestial level, you're going to be getting, I believe it's like 70% bonus EXP. So you're getting 10% for each grade. This has not been completely confirmed yet, so take that with a grain of salt, but that's the system that came out of Korea, the upgraded and improved system. What is very nice is that in our version, you can actually feed it dungeon items, even the crappy level 18 dungeons like the Sharp Wind Mines and the Palace Cellar. So this is where I think a lot of people are going to be getting their free weapons and armor to feeding it to their Erenor items. Because even though you only get 10 experience points, you can actually get items in there that are unique and, high grades there. So feeding those will give a little bit more experience, but they're free items that you get for just running through these dungeons, especially the level 18 and then also the Burnt Castle Armory and Hardened Farm. These are very, very easy dungeons to run, especially if you are level 55 and you have an Ionod / Erenor weapon. So grabbing this experience may look like it's small because you do need thousands of experience points, but again, they are free, easy to get, that you can just run through right away. Also, there's not enough crafted weapons and armor out in the auction house, so people are going to be gobbling those up. They're going to be required to find more weapons and armor. This is going to be the easiest way to get your Erenor weapon and armor up higher. So some of them have pretty decent value. So the greater dungeons I foresee being run a lot more often, and they have already been run quite a bit as is in 3.0. So you see they offer 63 base experience points. Greater Hardened Farm, the Cradle, Howling Abyss offer 63 and 73 experience points, somewhere in between there. Serpentis is getting a shaft again between 48 and 93. Sea of Drowned Love, 88. Mistsong Summit between 188 and 155 experience points. And this is also very interesting here. Diamond Shores items are offering 78 experience points. So when this system came out in Korea, it was reported that you could not feed these weapons and armors Lost Garden items. But this statement right here from Trying Worlds makes it appear like that you can feed Diamond Shore items, which would be Lost Garden items, because those are the items that you get out of Diamond Shores. The other items that you could potentially get would be out of the library, and if it was library items, I think they would say library, but again, this is Trying World, so they may have made a grave mistake here. But if this is the case, expect Lost Garden items to be very, very valuable in the 3.5 patch. So with all this said and done, we're going to go into what I think will be more valuable. I touched upon, lastly, the Lost Garden items being more valuable. You'll notice that the level 40 items that you can get from just killing mobs and such, from jesters and things like that, from those kind of mobs, aren't on this list. So apparently you cannot feed them level 40 weapons and armors that you get from killing mobs. But Diamond Shore items you can. So those give a lot of experience points too, 78 gold, and currently on the auction houses you're seeing Lost Garden weapons and armors around 10 gold for the basic values of those guys, and then not too expensive for like unique ones, maybe 50 or 100 gold there. For 78 experience points, that's actually an insanely good value, and I think these will jump up significantly. I also expect all these Palace Cellar items to sell out of the auction house, and the Sharpwind Mine ones. All these dungeon items are very, very cheap, so I expect a slight increase in value there. And then because you need so many more of these crafted gear items, I think that the regrade charms are going to go up, because in order to feed these guys, you want to upgrade it to higher tier levels to get those 10% bonuses, and at certain levels. So if you are trying to get an arcane Erenor weapon or armor, you need to feed it items that are arcane or higher. So you cannot feed it lower tier weapons. You can't just feed it grand weapons all day long, non-stop. You can't just run the dungeons and feed it those green/blue items all day long to level it up slowly but surely. You do need to have some advanced weapons and armors. You need to have some celestials, some divines, some legendaries, some epics, etc. to make it higher up. So as you go up, you do need higher tier weapons and armors. This is going to, in turn, I believe, make the regrade charms more valuable, make people buy them, and make upgrading those weapons more important in the future. So I think specifically superior red regrade charms are going to jump up dramatically. Lost Garden weapons should jump up pretty significantly as well. And yeah, crafted weapons and armors should see some spikes in value. There's going to be no more crafted weapons and armor really on the auction house. People are just going to buy these things and use them as food for their Erenor weapons and armor. The reason people want Erenor weapons and armor is Erenor items are significantly stronger than anything else in the game. The only thing kind of comparable to an Erenor weapon is an Obsidian tier 7 that is kind of really maxed out. So tier 7 Obsidian with a high grade on it is comparable, because not necessarily the stats. They have a lot lower stats than Erenor weapons and armor, but they have those passive abilities that are great. So those make up greatly for the lack of stats. So if you have an epic Obsidian tier 7 or tier 6, you're still looking like you're a baller. You still got some great weapons and armors, and don't worry about that. But yes, if you want to go the other method with a weapon/armor that is craftable completely and tradable, which is the big selling point. So these guys, the Erenor weapon and armor, are going to keep their value because you can trade them and sell them to other players. So after you're done with them, or you want to change classes, you can easily just trade them because they are not bound to your characters. There you go. There's a lot of information there. Hopefully that helped you guys out. Read the article down below for more. And what else do you think will increase in value? They are changing Lunastone effects and other things as well. So we'll touch upon that stuff in future videos. This is getting quite long, and I want to wait till I see more information on this before I give out more detailed analysis of this stuff. We'll be playing around with it on the public test server as soon as it comes live. So keep it locked here for more information on Archeage and 3.5. I will talk to you guys later.